Councillor Adams.
Hi everyone, I'm still here. Thank you, Rosemary.
Councillor America. Councillor Barnard.
Present.
Councillor Brown.
Hi, Rosemary, present.
Councillor Carolus.
Present, Rosemary.
Councillor Clark.
Present.
Councillor Cronje.
Hier present.
Councillor Du Toit.
Teenwoordig, Rosemary.
Councillor Esau.
Teenwoordig.
Councillor Edie Vigland.
Present and Rose.
Councillor RG Vigland.
Present.
Councillor Fry. Councillor Gom.
Present.
Councillor Greef.
Teenwoordig, Rosemary.
Councillor Gultik.
Councillor Gultig present, thank you.
Councillor Hani.
Present, thank you.
Councillor Jansen.
Teenwoordig, Rosemary.
Councillor Jantjies.
Good day, madam. How are you?
Councillor Johnson.
Present.
Alderman Kritzinger.
Present, Rosemary.
Councillor Kruger.
Good morning, still present.
Councillor Lento. Councillor Losi. Councillor Lau.
Teenwoordig, Rosemary.
Councillor Mankele.
Good morning, present.
Councillor Masasi.
Masasa present, thank you.
Councillor Mbete. Councillor Etim Mdaka. Councillor F Mdaka. Councillor Mrukuli.
Councillor Mkokuli present, thank you.
Councillor Kamele.
Councillor Ngamile present.
Councillor Neetling.
Teenwoordig.
Councillor Niaus. Councillor Ntondini.
Councillor Niaus is teenwoordig.
Thank you. Councillor Ntondini. Councillor Peterson.
Councillor Ndonini present.
Peterson teenwoordig.
Alderman Petrus.
Wessel Petrus teenwoordig.
Councillor Katana.
Katana present.
Councillor Kampi. Councillor Rooser.
Councillor Rooser is present.
Councillor Cyphers.
Councillor Cyphers is teenwoordig, Rosemary, dankie.
Councillor Summers.
Summers present.
Councillor Snyman.
I'm present, Rosemary.
Alderman van die Kerk.
Teenwoordig, dankie.
Alderman van Wyk.
Present, thank you, Rosemary.
Councillor von Brandes.
Present, Rosemary, thank you.
Councillor Forster.
Teenwoordig, dankie.
Councillor Wessels.
I am present, thank you, Rosemary.
Councillor Windwaai.
Present, Rosemary.
Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Rosemary. Councillors, before we had to adjourn the meeting in haste, we were on item 10.4 and we had just finished with Councillor Peterson. And the next person to speak on the item is Councillor Nkamile. I'm going to ask Councillor Nkamile to continue with his 1 minute, please. Councillor Nkamile, thank you.
Enkosi Speaker. Thina si-EFF sorry Speaker.
Councillor, just 1 second. Councillor Ntondini, please control your microphone. I'm going to ask you for the last time, please to control your microphone. We have somebody on the floor. Councillor Nkamile, your 1 minute starts now.
Enkosi Speaker. Thina si-EFF siyayibona yona ilanduza i-report le ne-recommendation ze-internal audit. Thina sifuna ukuthi ke sijongile kwaye ke sifuna uyilumkisa ke i-internal auditor kunye ke ne-officials zalo masipala ngokuthi ke ziperforme kwaye ke zipromote i-good governance kulo masipala wethu ngoba zonke ezinto zithethekayo apha pha egroundini kakufuneka zenziwe okanye zi-implementiwe akuhambi ngokoluhlobo ke zibekwe ngalo. Kungoko ke sithi nayo ke i-internal auditor ingaske ke iqiniseke ngokuthi ke ijongisise zonke ezi zinto ingaba zime ngobumi oluhlobo ke zithethwa ngalo zi-auditors kwicala ke le-officials. So sizama ukuthi thina si-EFF we take note of ilanduzi recommendation report ye-MPEC. Enkosi.
Thank you very much. Could we have a translation? Mr. Paulus, could we have the translation, please? Corporate Services, may I ask why Mr. Paulus is not doing the translation, please?
Should I repeat it?
I've noticed that Mr. Paulus was just logged into this meeting. I'm going to have to, is there anybody that can do this translation? Because I find it unacceptable that there was nobody that could do the translation.
Mr. Speaker, there was somebody that was doing the interpretation. It's Mr. Hugo.
Okay,
He was busy doing that and he done that.
Okay, no, there was no interpretation. I was listening and there was no interpretation, Rosemary. So please, I've asked for an interpretation, and as strict as I am with the councillors, I'm going to be as strict as with you. There was no interpretation done. So please can I have this interpretation done?
We as the EFF acknowledge the recommendation tabled here.
There's a breakup.
And
I cannot see any interpretation.
We
sorry.
just want to put out a word of warning to the internal auditor and the municipal officials that things are put rosy at these meetings.
Sorry,
However, on the ground,
can you hear me
things
properly?
don't
Because we have a
happen.
problem with this. Sorry, councillors.
To warn the
There
auditor
seems to be.
and the municipal officials to keep an eye on that. Thank you.
Councillors, we seem to have a problem with the sound quality. I've just, can you hear me now? There's been a report on my computer saying that the sound quality was bad. Can we try again for the translation, please? Rosemary, could we try again for the translation? I didn't hear a thing about the translation. It broke up.
Okay. As the EFF, we acknowledge the recommendation tabled here and just a word of warning to the auditor, internal auditor, and the municipal officials that as things are put here, they tend to be rosy and all good, but on the ground, actually, it's not the case. So we'd like to put a word of warning to the internal auditor and the municipal officials that they must keep an eye on the operations on the ground. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was clear. Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor America. You have 1 minute.
Speaker, I second the report in proposed recommendation done by Councillor De Joy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. That item therefore carries. We move on to item number 11 on the agenda. That's reports to Council, item 11.1, approval of the unlawful land occupation of land bylaw. The first person to speak on this item is Councillor Wessels. Councillor Wessels, you have 3 minutes, please.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, I think all councillors would agree that with the unbelievable growth that George is experiencing due to the economic opportunities in the Western Cape, so does the occupation of lands in an unlawful manner increase as well. This increases thereby it creates the need for such a bylaw. The 5 key points of this bylaw is being mentioned on page 310, and I believe it is our responsibility as council to ensure the safety of all the citizens of George, protect the economy and grow George in a responsible and lawful manner. So with all of that, I would like to propose the recommendation as on page 311. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Foster. You have 1 minute.
Hi, Speaker. The DA obsession with the land is well noted. The DA obsession with
Sorry,
keeping our
Councillor.
people
Sorry,
of the
Councillor.
land is well noted.
Councillor, just 1 second. This is your first meeting. Could I ask the rest of the councillors in your vicinity to turn their audio off, please? It is feeding back into the microphones and causing an echo. If we could proceed without the other audio on, please. You may continue, Councillor Foster.
Hello, Speaker.
That's better, thank you.
As good, we know that the GI Council is doing absolute nothing to address the spatial injustice of the past and instead focus on keeping people of the land. Until spatial justice is addressed, a race pass of the unequal land distribution is addressed, we cannot agree with attempts such as this one. Bylaws such as this one is hurting our communities. It is clear who such bylaws are aimed. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Councillor. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Greef. You have 1 minute.
Dankie, Speaker. Speaker, die grondwet maak voorsiening dat almal reg het van behuising. Indien hierdie munisipaliteit proactief optree ten opsigte van toekenning van behuising, sal dit nie nodig wees om so baie wet na die raad te bring nie, vir goedkeuring nie. Mense sal alles in hul vermoë doen om te sorg dat hul families veilig is, al beteken dit 'n grondwet sal beset. Indien die DA nie ophou om behuisingsgeleenthede vir politieke gewin misbruik nie, sal hierdie ewel nooit reg aangespreek word nie. Tale huise staan leeg in Reigerpark wat lankal toegeken moes word, terwyl nuwe behuising gebou word op metrogronde. Word daar nog gewag vir 2024 om behuising toe te ken? Dankie, Speaker.
Thank you very much. Can we have a translation,
Thank you,
please?
Speaker. Uthi ke umthetho ke ubekiwe ngokucacileyo ukubana wonke umuntu unelungelo uba abe nayo indawo yokuhlala, wonke umuntu unelungelo uba abe nendawo yokufihla intloko yakhe ngokusemthethweni. Uthi ke loo nto ayizubangela uba kunokwenziwa loo mthetho, ayinobangela ukubana sibe sihleli apha sitononondisa njengebhunga kuzama ukwabiwa umhlaba, sibe siyazi uba sihleli nengxaki ekhoyo yezemihlaba. Uthi ke uba yona i-DA ayinokuthi yenze yonke into okanye zonke into ezinokwenza nezindlu ukuba ibe ngathi liphulo lezopolitiko, bangazenzi ngathi ngumsebenzi wabo, kodwa zikhona izindlu ezikhoyo ekufuneka zinikeziwe abantwini, kodwa ke bathatha ixesha lokwenza izinto ezinjalo. Ngoko ke ukuba kunokujonga kwizinto ezinjalo asinohlala nezi ngxaki sihleli nazo namhlanje. Enkosi.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Tampi. You have 1 minute. Councillor Tampi, your time is running. Can I move on? I have no response. I'm going to move on to the next speaker on the list. Councillor Fichland, you have 1 minute, please.
Speaker, thank you. I second the proposal made by Councillor Wessels.
Thank you very much. That item therefore carries. We have the next item on the agenda is 11.2, auction of worn out redundant inventory and vehicles. The first person to speak on the item is Councillor Wessels. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Yup, this is a straightforward item dealing with a proposed auction on inventory and redundant vehicles. This is standard procedure to deal with in this manner. So I'll propose the recommendation. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Councillor. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Tampi. You have 1 minute, please. Councillor Tampi, this is the last call. Are you going to speak for your minute? Your time is running. I'm going to continue then. There's no answer from the EFF. The next person to speak on the item, therefore, is Councillor Clark. You have 1 minute.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, that's what you are enjoying mostly. Because you know we are coming from the
Councillor Nkamile, I did not talk
and then
to you.
the network is struggling with the
Speaker, I
Councillor
second
Nkamile.
the proposal by Councillor Wessels. Thank you.
Councillor Nkamile, I'm going to be very lenient this morning. I'm in a very good mood. I will not. That was the first time and the last time you'll interrupt me today. There is a speakers list. I called for the person and you had an opportunity while I called to speak. I moved on and you then spoke. I'm moving on. This item has been approved. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is 11.3. Investigation into alleged breach of code of conduct of Councillor R.J. Hector. The first person to speak on this item is Councillor Van Niekerk. You have 2 minutes, please.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, this item is self-explanatory. It's initiation of a disciplinary inquiry process held by Macintosh attorneys. The recommendation is on page 338, and I will read it in that council take note and resolve the outcome of the investigation is fully set out in the investigation report from Macintosh attorneys, specifically that the recommendation not to proceed with disciplinary actions against Councillor Hector on the report incident based on the conclusions and the recommendations cited in the investigative report, that council take notes that Councillor Hector has resigned as councillor and that the outcome of the investigation be reported to the MEC for local government. I so move.
Thank you. There is no debate on this, and therefore the last person to speak on this item is Councillor Suffers. Councillor Suffers, you have 1 minute.
Speaker, I second the proposal made by my colleague, Councillor Van Niekerk. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. That item therefore carries. The next item on the agenda is 11.4, the investigation into alleged breach of code of conduct for councillors, Councillor M. Barnard. The first person to speak on this item is Councillor van Niekerk. Just 1 second, I saw a hand go up momentarily. Councillor Viljoen, your hand is up. I presume you'd like to excuse yourself?
Thanks, Speaker. I put it in the chat box. I will just be excusing myself for this.
Thank you very much, Councillor. You may be excused. Thank you. Councillor, please. Thank you. The first person to speak on this item, therefore, is Councillor van Niekerk. You have 2 minutes, please.
Thank you, Speaker. Again, this is a investigation that's been done by Rowenheimer attorneys as the initiation part of a possible disciplinary inquiry, and the recommendation we will find on page 354 and 355. That council take notes of the outcome of the investigation is fully set out in the investigation report from Rowenheimer attorneys. That council resolved not to proceed with disciplinary actions against Councillor Barnard on the reported incident based on the conclusions and the recommendations cited in the investigation report, and the outcome of the investigation be reported to the MEC for local government. I so move.
Thank you, Councillor van Niekerk. The Alderman, sorry. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Lowe. Councillor Lowe, you have. Sorry. There's somebody's microphone is on, and I can hear. I'm not sure whether it's a child or something. Just could you please put the microphone off? The next person to speak on the item is Councillor Lowe. You have 2 minutes.
Dankie, Speaker. Speaker, ons vind hierdie ondersoek skokwekkend. In dieselfde geval word die klagtes omgedraai teen raadslede wat die klagtes lê en word hulle uitgemaak in beide die ondersoek en raadslid Barnard se skrywe na u. Ek het in my jare al gewerk as amptenaar in 'n Speaker se kantoor en ek het in my lewe nog nooit so onregverdige Speaker teëgekom wat so duidelik partydig is nie. Die ondersoeke beweer dat Raadslid Hector decline om 'n onderhoud te doen saam met die ondersoeker. Die ondersoeke beweer dat Raadslid Hector decline. My navraag aan Raadslid Hector was dat hy nog nooit gekontak was deur die ondersoeker nie. Volgens my kennis en my navraag in die Raadslid Hector het hy nog nooit die ondersoek met die ondersoeker geweier nie. Hoe is dit moontlik dat hierdie onprofessionele sake voorbeeld van verslag na die raad kan kom? En dit is baie duidelik dat hierdie verslag nie die papier werd is waarop dit geskryf is nie. Hierdie verslag adresseer glad nie die klagtes wat gemaak is teen Raadslid Barnard nie. En is 'n vermorsing van belastingbetalers se geld. En is 'n duidelike bewys van hoe die Speaker se kantoor geld vermors en net sekere prokureursfirmas gebruik. Waar dit kom by Raadslid Barnard is dit duidelik dat sy die broek dra in hierdie munisipaliteit. As goed vra ons, wat is die kostes van hierdie onware verslag? Ons behou ook die reg voor om hierdie verslag te laat hersien, aangesien dit baseer is op onwaarhede en geensins die klagte adresseer wat gemaak was teen Raadslid Barnard nie. Baie dankie.
Can we have a translation, please?
Enkosi Manbakuthi, njengeGood thina iyasothusa yonke lento indlela yenziwe ngayo apha ngokwenziwa oluphando. Zange kubekho nodliwano ndlebe olwenziwayo kuziwe ebantwini. Bakhona nabantu abathi azange basondelwe babizwe babuzwe izimvo zabo malunga nale meko. Loo nto ke ithi yonke lento ayithathwanga le ngxelo ngendlela eprofessional befanele yenziwe ngayo. Siyayiqaphela ke nento yoba inkcitho mali yi-office kaSpeaker yokuthi athathe ezi meko azinike iinkampani zamagqwetha ezithile apha. Si-good ke sibona uba lento mayibuyiselwe kwakhona iyojongwa kwi-review ngolasemzini iphinde iyojongisiswa indlela eyenziwe ngayo. Enkosi.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Carolus. You have 2 minutes.
Speaker, môre. Die PBI wil het duidelijk maak dat ons geensins gelukkig is met die manier hoe hierdie ondersoek plaasgevind het nie. Het is duidelik dat hierdie proses of die ondersoek raadslid Barnard bevoordeel het. Raubenheimers is 'n plaaslike maatskappy wat gereeld vir die DA of vir die George munisipaliteit werk, so hierdie ondersoek kon nooit onafhanklik plaasgevind het nie. Raadslid Gierike is 'n PR raadslid van die PBI en die PBI het 'n baie groot stembasis in Wijk 4. Ons wil u ook herinner dat ons met die vorige verkiesing 961 stemme getrek het in Wijk 4 wat Willenus insluit. So ons het 'n baie groot stembasis in Willenus self ook. Die PBI wil dit ook duidelik stel dat die DA of raadslid Viljoen Barnard is besig met diskriminasie en rasseskeiding in Willenus. Selfs die plakkers van Willenus was gevra om hierdie IDP meeting in Tousrand by te woon. Dit was duidelik dat sy hierdie meeting slegs vir die wit mense van Willenus geskeduleer het. Die grootste van als, speaker, was dat sy munisipale resources gebruik het, naamlik ons eie law enforcement, hulle diens gedoen, en ons moet ook net die publiek daar buite herinner dat hierdie vergadering, IDP-vergadering, was in die Willenus Hotel gedoen, wat 'n privaat perseel en 'n privaat eiendom is. Speaker, dan is dit ook opvallend hoe gou daar teen die oppositie opgetree word, en dan is dit opvallend hoe daar gedraal word met lede van die koalisie en die DA. Die PBI neem ook kennis van 'n verklaring van die CFO, wat onwaarhede versprei met hierdie spesifieke voorval, en die PBI...
Time, Councillor, your time is up, unfortunately. I have to mute you there. The time on this matter is now up. Can I please have a translation?
Yes, as the PDI, we were not happy. Njenge-PDI asonwabiswanga indlela lento yenziwe ngayo. Okokuqala nje pha e-Wilderness siyi-PDI sifumana ii-votes ezininzi ezi-961. Loo nto ithi sinabantu abaninzi esibameleyo khona pha. Okwesibini, lo Raubenheimers attorneys ngabameli abasoloko besebenzisana nomasipala. Loo nto ke ithi le ndlela kwenziwe ngayo apha ayondlela efanelekileyo. Yindlela apha ebonisa ucalucalulo nokubukulana ngokwebala. Kusetyenziswe ne-law enforcement apha ngokuxesha kususwa abantu kule ntlanganiso bayobekwa kwenye indawo le ntlanganiso bekufanele uba ibekwe kuyo, nale ndawo babekwe kuyo yindawo yomntu e-private. Loo nto ke ithi zonke ezi zinto sizikhankanyayo apha ngentla ziyasothusa ngendlela yonke le nto eyenziwe ngayo. Siyi-PDI ayisonwabisanga kwaphela. Enkosi.
Thank you very much for the translation. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Neethling. Councillor Neethling, you have, sorry, my apologies, Councillor Johnson. Councillor Johnson, you have 1 minute, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Speaker, I second the proposal made by Alderman van die Kerk. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The item carries. The next item in the agenda is item 11.5. Investigation as contemplated in items 15 read with item 16 of the Code of Conduct for Councillors, Schedule 7, to the Local Government Municipal Structures Amendment Act number 3 of 2021, alleged breach of the Code of Conduct for Alderman Gericke. The first person to speak on this item is Councillor Alderman van Niekerk. You have 2 minutes, please.
Thank you, Speaker. Again, a disciplinary inquiry that was the committee was tasked with. Prior to the commence of the hearing, Councillor Du Toit and Alderman Gericke has resolved the issue between them, and in an amicable manner, which we respected, and as such, it was a ruling of the committee that there is no reason to continue with any further disciplinary investigation. Hence the recommendation on page 386 that Council takes note of the content of the letter from Councillor Du Toit contained as Annex B to the agenda. That Council furthermore takes note of the content of the letter of BDP attorneys contained as Annex C to the agenda. That Council takes note of the report of the special committee appointed by Council. That Council indicates whether it is in agreement with the finding and recommendation of the special committee, specifically that the matter be noted as settled and that no other sanction is recommended against Alderman Gericke, that Alderman Gericke be informed of the finding as decided by Council, and that the MEC of local government be informed within 14 days of the finding as decided by Council. I so move.
Thank you, Alderman. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Lowe. You have 1 minute.
Speaker, also noted.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Peterson. You have 2 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, the report relating to the investigation of Alderman Gericke refers. We note the report and would like to point out certain concerns. Firstly, not all the evidence relating to the investigation is attached in the item. The chairperson of the inquiry requested Alderman Gericke to tender an apology to Councillor Du Toit as he was sick in bed in that he could not deal with the stress. Alderman Gericke obliged to settle the issue amicably. We note that the communication pertaining to this is not attached. Secondly, we note that there is a vast difference when members of the opposition are going through disciplinary inquiries versus that of the coalition. We want to request that these processes followed must be fair and transparent, and that the principles of administrative justice must be followed. The inquiry process must not be used as a witch hunt on opposition councillors, but must be used to ensure conformity to the rules of order. When this is done, Mr. Speaker, the animosity will be lowered during meetings. Mr. Speaker, we urge you to apply the disciplinary proceedings where it merits investigations equitably and fairly, and that no distinction is drawn between the coalition partners and the opposition councillors. And I thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. I'm going to take Councillor Neethling to speak next. However, the chairperson of the committee, as per the rules of order, is permitted to give an explanation, which I will allow after Councillor Neethling has spoken for the minute.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would rather that the chairperson give a comment on what Councillor Peterson has said. Otherwise, I support the recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alderman van Niekerk. As the chairperson, you are permitted to give explanation. I'm going to give you a minute, therefore.
Thank you, Speaker. With regards to the annexes referred to, if my colleague has had a little bit more knowledge of the legal process, then he would have known that the letter or the communication between Councillor Du Toit and Alderman Gericke is none of our concern. It's a private affair between them. I haven't seen it. I don't know what the contents thereof. I've only been informed by Councillor Du Toit that he withdraw the charges which he filed, and as such we reacted. So that is private between them and not necessary to attach. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Alderman. So noted. Councillors, that item is therefore carried. That brings us to the end of that part of the meeting, of that point. The next one is the just 1 second, I just want to get my document. Okay, we just need to wait a few seconds. We have a problem with YouTube once again. Item 12 is motions for or proposals deferred to from previous meetings. We've received none. 13 new motions, we have none. 14 matters at the discretion of the Speaker is none. And 15 is urgent matters of the municipal manager. We've received none. Councillor Camille, I've received nothing in the chat box, and the meeting is basically, there are no more items on this agenda. You're welcome to send me anything in the chat box. This meeting is now basically